Well, guys, I'm sitting back out here in the cold shop today. A little different video. I'm not actually going to work on a saw today. I'm going to work on a Stihl blower, and I think it's a 80 something. I'll tell you real quick what it. Well, no, because that's not the recoil for it. The recoil's sitting over here. It is a BG86. So what we're going to do with it today is we're just going to take and rebuild the carburetor. It was flooding pretty bad. I think the needle's got a problem, so I'm going to clean out everything where the needle seat is and put it back on this blower, and maybe this thing will work out right and will quit flooding itself. Because when I got this thing, took the spark plug out, I couldn't turn it over like it was. It acted like it was locked up, but took the plug out and it was shooting a stream of fuel out the plug hole as big as the hole was for the first probably 6 or 7 pulls. So there's probably been some trash or something, or the needle has deteriorated, and we'll look into it and see what's going on. All right, so I suspected there's something wrong with the needle portion of that, and what we're going to do is we're just going to pull out one of these carb kits. We're going to put a new meter and lever in it, a new needle, a new spring, and new gaskets and all that good stuff. So if I can get this box open, I might have to get my screwdriver out. There it goes. And I've already took this carb out, and I've already sprayed it off, sprayed it out, sprayed every hole out, but I will spray it one more time just to make sure. All right. So now we got all these old parts, so I'm going to throw them over here out of the way, because we don't want none of those right now. I'm going to start by just putting the new needle in. And I know it's a little odd for me to be doing this and not being on the dirty bench top. But hey, sometimes we all make little improvements. So I'm going to attempt to get this spring set in there. Maybe. I can't grab it to where it's setting, so we're just going to pick it up and I'm going to try to drop it down that hole again. And that new spring actually sets up just a little bit higher than what the old one did, which probably could be a lot better. And I will get my meter and lever tool out and check and make sure the lever's setting right. And I did pull an old carburetor that I had laying around that fit these blowers as well. I pulled it off just to see if this screw here was any different. And it was not. It was still one of these little bitty Torx head. And I think it's like a T8. And what I'm actually using is one of these tamper resistant screws. Tamper resistant bit. So it's got the little hole in the bottom, but it doesn't really make any difference. And I just used a little wrench there just to make sure it was good and tight. Yeah, if you can see it, it says T8, but it is the security bit, which doesn't matter as far as the Torx part's concerned. So I'm going to take my new gasket. Well, no, No, I take it back because I'm gonna get my tool and make sure the carburetor's adjusted right. Give me a minute just to get my hands on my tools. Well, just believe me here. Yeah, I didn't even find the adjusters. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this the old school way, and it usually works. Just make sure that lever is just right up to the top of the carb body. Like right there, it's not hitting at all, so it should be enough to make it work. We're gonna lay down the gasket first, then the diaphragm. And this one here, it's not got any notch or anything. It just sits directly on top of the gasket. We take the part here that's got the primer bulb on it, set it on like this, which I didn't separate nothing underneath where the primer bulb is. I didn't touch anything down there. Primer bulb's still holding fuel. So now I'm gonna take my screwdriver and just tighten down the screws here on top of the metering diaphragm. If I can get it all to line up right. That one did. That one did. So that means the other two should also. Yeah, I caught a little crap in one of my videos because I didn't even wipe a carburetor down when I put it back in. But, yet again, it didn't affect any kind of performance, and I had to pull it back out anyway. I don't film everything that goes on, just parts of it. Just make sure that the screws are good and snug, and yeah, I'm pulling them out of here outside of frame, and just make sure the screws are good and snug. And next we're going to go over here to the pump side. I'm going to put that little piece of film down first, and then we're going to come back in with the gasket and lay it down just directly on top of that film. And I guess I need to bust the old gasket off of that. And it should set down on there, and it does have little pins with alignment pins on it. And I do have another carburetor just laying around here just like this one. Same size, pretty much same everything. Don't know why that screw don't want to go in there. Everything else is lined up. Unless it had something to do with the idle screw, and it did. The idle screw is actually mounted to this little piece right here over top of the pump body, and it was hanging just enough to keep that screw from going in. And then we're going to snug that screw down, and there she is. There's the carb rebuilt, and it is the Zama CM1. See if I can get you where you can see that down in there. C1M. We'll get you spun back up, and we'll get this blower set up here and see what we can do from there. I'm going to attempt to get you over here where you can see what's going on. I've got one of the screws that go into the handle screwed into that fuel line to keep it from leaking so bad. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out and put the fuel line on the carburetor. Because this thing shot fuel all over me when I initially took it apart. And the carb gasket's still on there, and it's in pretty decent shape, so we'll leave it alone, leave it like it is. Now I have to remember how exactly this throttle linkage went in. I don't exactly remember how I pulled it out. There's only one way for it to go in, and I believe there's only one way for it to go in. I think that's it right there. So I've got to take it off of the trigger and put it into the carburetor. Then I'm just going to slide the carburetor on. After I get it followed around here for what feels like 20 minutes. And we're going to put the hose back on that goes back to the return to the tank from the purge system. After I pull the throttle linkage plumb out of it again. Pull my trigger down. That part works just fine. And now we're just going to go ahead and just start putting the air filter assembly back on. And I do have all my nuts and bolts in a magnet tray, just sitting over here kind of out of sight, right behind the camera. I'll go ahead and put the nuts on just by hand, get them started good. I mean, who knew there was this much work involved in taking the carburetor off of something, but everything on the blower is very compact. Place for everything, and everything in its place is kind of the gist I gather out of it. And you got to take everything apart to get to one little simple item, but you know, it is what it is, and I'm not going to argue about it. I'm not going to badmouth nobody. No, ain't going to badmouth Stihl about it today anyway. I mean, all in all, every company now is trying to get it to where you got to take it back to a dealer to get something serviced, because they really don't want to lose that service money. Just gonna snug those nuts down. Finish installing the air filter. And the only reason why this the starter part even come off of this blower, was because it was giving me a little bit of a fit of getting everything else out. And this has got a little square hole here, and it's got to line up with those little tabs right here. I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see them. And that's what works your on and off switch and your fast idle, and if you just want to run it wide open. All right. Now the fun part of holding all this together while putting the screws in. And I may accidentally have to get some more screws to finish this project. At least one more, because I don't see it in my magnet tray. And it probably fell out of it. But it's no real big issue. I got a whole box of screws over here. Throttle works, on and off works. Everything seems to be working now like it should. So now we're going to put the recoil back on. Which it ain't really much trouble to get it on. Just kind of pops right on there. But I do still have to get a screw for that. And I'll probably steal one off one of these other blowers I've got laying around. And I think that's all the screws for the recoil cover. We're gonna put her spark plug boot back on. We're gonna take this thing to full choke. Push the purge bulb. And I did find the other screw. It fell out here on the bench. Just trying to purge the air out of the carb. See if it even yeah, it's got some fuel in here. All right, see if it starts. Cross our fingers. Well, guys, I take it she runs, and she does fairly decent, but I didn't take the Welsh plug out. I know there's some people out there that just take them out, but I've not had any bad problems by just leaving them in there and not cleaning all that and just spraying the circuits out. But anyhow, it successfully ran, and we'll see if it floods again or what it does, but it actually acted pretty decent. I may have to get my tuning screwdriver out for that spline deal. This one right here, I may have to get it out and actually tune on the carburetor just a little bit. I mean, that's a possibility, but anyhow, guys, if you like this video, give me that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I appreciate y'all.